Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on the handle of our little tote bag that we've been creating on our lives here at Wow Crochet Designs. Now we have our lives at 10 a.m. Saturday mornings and 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, Melbourne Australia Time that is, and each one of those lives for the past 2 or 3 weeks we've been creating the pieces you see right here, the square and the joining of the square, and then we tried, hence the word tried to do the handles on our live. And quite a few people had some issues on this part of the handle and coming up across that part. So I decided to do a little tutorial on the actual handles itself. All right, if you wanted to create the bag itself, you need to watch the 2 lives that I've left the links in the description box down below. It'll show you how to create the first part of it, which is the square and the actual border rows that you see right here. I'm sorry, border row, because it's only one. Then we tried to do the handles, and a few people were saying, look, they couldn't see what I was doing. So I thought it's probably better to show you how to do it from top down with the camera, which is what I've done with this piece today. All right. So once you finish this particular tutorial, your handles will be complete. And what we'll do is we will decide on our lives whether or not to do a little latch. We are definitely lining our bag, which is going to come up within a week or so anyway. All right, so thank you very much for watching. Today you will need your crochet hook that you use to make your pieces with. I actually used a 4mm hook. You will need your scissors, and you will need your sewing needle, and you will need 2 stitch markers. All right, so thank you very much for watching and good luck creating the handles of our little gorgeous tote bag. Alrighty guys, where I left you off in our live a couple of weeks ago, I got you to do your whole round and I asked you just to wait here and don't cast off your thread. Now if you've cast off your thread, just reattach it, alright? But this is where you'll be. You'll have your little space in there for whatever purses and things you want to put inside, and then you'll have your closed up sections on the end. So what we're going to do from here, separate your piece. But before you start, grab a stitch marker and pop it in there like so, all right? And then what I want you to do, remember that little set in the beginning, how we've got 1 single crochet in that first stitch. You should have 2 stitches left in that set. I want you to put a single into your second stitch, a single into your third. Now remember, this is open now. You're putting it only on one side. Then you're going to start your handles, yeah? And what you want to do is chains, and you need to chain the handle that suits you. If you wanted to chain the handle for a bag that you just hold like this, that chain is 35 chains. If you want to chain a handle for the size of an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old to go over their shoulder, that will be 100 chains. If you want to chain a bag to suit you, then what you need to do is 120 or 130 chains, depending on, how long you want your handles to be. What I'm going to chain today is 100 because I want my bag to suit, roughly around an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old. So you're going to start your chains right now. All you're going to do is chain 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. Now before you continue, keep your chains straight. Don't move them around, or once you go to slip stitch to join, your chains will join crooked and you don't want that. All right, so your job now is to chain the amount that you need. I'll be doing 100 and then I'll just pause the camera here. Once I finish my 100, I'll meet you back here, or actually just meet you once the chains are finished, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I asked you to chain your whatever it is chains that you wanted to do. I've chained 100 and I said to meet me back here and I'll show you how to join it. But yours truly accidentally, do you like that? Accidentally moved mine out of place and I'm totally confused at where I need to pop my stitches now. Alright, I thought I'd show you this on purpose so that in case you have actually, let's try that again, that you have actually moved yours out of place. This was our very first chain we did right there. So that's the flat side of your chain. Underneath you've got like a little bubbled edge, or what we like to call a back bump in chains here. So you want the flatter side to be nice and straight. So run your fingers down the flatter side, being careful. I saw that move a little bit, but I caught it in time. So you're on the flat side of your work, like so. And I notice some of these chains are very tight. I do this all the time, don't I, guys? I do my chains way too tight, and then I can't get my my hooks in there. All right, so just keeping that nice and straight. And once you get to the end, wherever that may be for you, for me, I'm struggling right to the end. It starts to turn a little bit. Be careful. And we're nearly there. How long are these chains? It seems like more than 100. It's going on forever. All right, so there we are. That's our last chain. So what I want you to do is keep your finger on that. Pop your hook in the loop, keeping your finger right there. There. All right. So hold on to that spot there. Over here, where we've got the opposite side. Now remember in the beginning we single crocheted 2 stitches across. We're going to do just that. Pop a single crochet in that first stitch and a single in the second, making sure you haven't moved your chains. Yeah, so you go over to your little spot and you're popping it in the first stitch of that set. Pop your hook in and tighten everything up. Try not to move your little chains, yeah, and do your single crochet. Then you're doing a single crochet in your second stitch, like that. Now what you would have had before, you would have had your stitch marker in here, right? Or even if you didn't have a stitch marker, let me show you with a needle. That's our very first single crochet that we made when we first started our single crochet or joining our pieces together, yeah? So you've got your chains attached, that's great, making sure this is straight. Now if you're still not sure it's straight, go ahead and check. Run your fingers along it again and check again. But because nothing worse than you do this, go all the way around, come back and start doing your single crochets and they're all messed up, yeah? So make sure your chains are straight now. So you've made sure your chains are straight, yeah? What you have here is a little space where your stitch is in. Ignore that little space. And you're going into the actual side of that stitch, that very first stitch. You're not doing a slip stitch like we normally would do. You're just doing a single crochet. So do a single crochet in that stitch. Now I'm going to take that undone and show you that stitch again so you can see it. That's your double crochet. You're in one. You're in a second double crochet. Your third double crochet has that first single crochet that we did to start putting our pieces together. That's where you want to be into, that stitch right there. So do your single crochet, turn your bag over, and once again you're ignoring the stitch that your single crochet is in, which is right there. Yeah, you're jumping into your second and your third. So you're doing a single crochet into the second stitch, a single into your third, and then you're doing your whatever chains you did before, you're doing the same for the second handle, the second side. So you're going to chain your chains, get to your very first stitch right here and wait for me there. Or just chain your chains, get to the end of your chains, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so once again, yours truly messed up her stitches. So what I want you to do with yours, if you've messed yours up, do exactly the same thing. That's our very first chain, and your flat side should be on the top and your bubbled should be behind. So you get your flat side and you just run your fingers through the flat side. We're going to speed it up with this one because you kind of know what you're doing now, but I wanted you to do this to make sure that if you did move out of place, you knew what you were doing, yeah? So if you did spin your chains around, you knew exactly what you were doing. And there you go. So pop your hook in there, keeping your chains nice and straight. Then you come over here. Remember that stitch that was filled up? The very last stitch was filled up with our very first single crochet. So what I want you to do is these last 2 stitches here, you're going to do a single crochet in each stitch, keeping your work straight. You've got 1 stitch and 2 stitch. So go into that very first stitch. This is of that cluster set, yeah? And do a single crochet, trying not to move your work around. It's a little tricky, but once you get that first stitch, the rest is easy. Single into your second stitch. Your third one is filled up with our very first stitch. Now remember over here, we put a single crochet on top, let's move that out the way, on top of your stitch here. That's that stitch marker right there. So no slip stitching. What I want you to do is pop a single crochet in that stitch where we put our stitch marker before. Take it out like that. And do your single crochet. Yeah? Then what I want you to do, and this is something we didn't do before, but we'll do it here, with this single crochet that you just did. For the sake of showing you where the beginning of the row is, grab your stitch marker and pop it in the stitch that we just did. Now, there will be no slip stitching anymore. It'll just be in single crochet rounds. But that stitch marker will remind you that that's your last stitch. You'll need that at the end when we're ready to cast off. Yeah? So, you're there. And now, before we continue, we still have these 2 single crochets left. So we're going to single in the first, single in your second, and then you're going to single in every stitch. I'm trying to, it's really tight. I'm looking at it, it's really, really tight. So single in every stitch across, every chain. Trust me to do it so tight that you can't see it. So just grab your hook and pop it in either 1 loop or 2 loops, whichever suits you, and do a single crochet in every chain stitch across. Can you see my chains that are so tight? Now, I'm going to struggle with this, but you may not, hopefully. I left a little disclaimer to tell you not to do those chains too tight. Yours truly forgot and did mine too tight. So single crochet in every chain all the way across. Now, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me struggle through this, through these really tight stitches. But I do want you to do just that. All right, so your job is to single crochet, get it, in every stitch of your chains. Get to this stitch right here. We'll pop a little green stitch marker just before the stitch or just on the stitch there. So all the chains, get to your very first single crochet that you come to, and wait for me there, and I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here I am at the end of my chains. Now this is where you find out whether you did your chains straight or not, yeah? Hopefully I did mine straight. Yeah, all good. Well, I've done a single crochet. I'm not even in frame. Hello. I've done a single crochet in that stitch, and I've got a stitch just before the stitch marker stitch, which is in there. It's fairly tight, but it's in there. Make sure you get into every stitch and do your single crochet. My very next stitch will be the stitch with the stitch marker in it. So what I want to do is take out that stitch marker for a moment, and I want you to put your single crochet in that stitch. So straight from the last chain, you're jumping into that single crochet and you're doing 1 single crochet. Go into the second one and do another single crochet. And then there's one right there on top. Remember the one we did on top? You're doing a single crochet on top of that one. 3, a single in your next one, 4, and a single in the very last stitch there, 5. So all you did was you did your singles on your chains, and then you did your singles on every one of those side stitches there. All right. Now, the next job you need to do is exactly what you did to the other side. You need to pop a single crochet into every chain of your handle. Right, so if you did 35 chains, you should have had 35 single crochets. If you did 100 chains, you should have 100 single crochets. If you did 120 or 130, then that's what you should have. So off you go doing your single crochets in every chain you come to on your piece. Don't miss any. And get to the very section right there. In fact, grab your stitch marker, the green one again, and just, whoa, pop it in the very first single crochet there. Just ignore this one for a minute. Pop it in that very first single crochet, right? So what I want you to do is put a single crochet in each one of your chains, get to that green stitch marker, and I will meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, I asked you to get to the end of this side and I've tangled everything up, as you do. Once again, this will be whether or not you've gone crooked or not. You'll get to see that right now, but I think I'm straight. Oh, you'll see. Yes, I'm straight. But I've got a couple of stitches left. I didn't finish them completely because these stitch markers were confusing me. So let me do the last two stitches. One, might be 2 or 3, not as the last one. Yep. And then you've got, let me take the stitch marker out now. You don't really need it there. It was just to show you where the first stitch was, really. All right, so then you've got your first stitch there. You do a single crochet in your first stitch. Let me move all this out the way so you can see. Yeah, and then one in your second, one in your third, which is where the stitch marker is. This is your very first stitch from your row, right? So you do one in there. I want you to take out that stitch marker and pop it in the stitch to show that's your first stitch, yeah? And one in your fourth, one in your fifth, and then guess what? You have your handles. And this is the easy part. You've already done your single crochets in the very tight stitches, so the rest is easy. Look at me go, look at me go. Single crochet into every stitch in the round. Yeah? So get around here, let's just pop a stitch marker in, anywhere, it doesn't matter, anywhere near the closed section, because it won't make a difference. Just get to that stitch marker right there or near there, and I will meet you there once you've done. Single crochet in every stitch, get there, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of our very first side. Yeah, we're going to pop I'm going to take out that stitch marker. You would have just done a single crochet in every stitch. Don't do anything else, just continue right along. Single all the way across the top of your piece. You know the area where we did our single crochets, or 5 single crochets in the previous side, remember? And that's all you're doing. It's super easy, this pattern. Super easy. Well, this part of it is. The trickiest part was, you know, getting it all attached. But once you've got it all attached, this part is super easy. Now, you'll probably noticed you're single crocheting and haven't realized that you're crocheting already onto your next handle. Super easy, yeah? Single crocheting all the way across your handle. When you get to that stitch marker right there, don't do anything else. Just wait for me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, head off on your own, single crochet in the round, and I'll meet you at that stitch marker once you're done. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of the side. I've got a couple of stitches left, which I believe is 1 and 2 And then that stitch marker right there. Now you have a choice here, guys. You can do another round if you feel the need to. I'm not going to. This is to me, I think that's strong enough. So I'm going to leave that like that. However, you need to finish off. Now remember that little stitch marker there that we've been putting single crochets in the round? We now have to slip stitch in that stitch with your stitch marker. Let me get it close up. Right there. So you're popping your hook in the stitch, pull a loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now don't do this if you want to do another round. Do another round and then do this. But if you're going to do cast off like me, all you're doing is pulling up a loop. Oh, it doesn't matter, as long as you like. Could be small, could be long, whatever. Give it a cut. Take out the stitch marker for starters. And do just that. Tighten it right up. Yeah. Now, if you find that that looks like it's too high, this is where you grab your sewing needle. You've got to weave it in anyway, so this is a great way of doing it. So you grab your sewing needle like so. Yep. And you go and weave it through. So all you're doing is popping it through the back loop of your very next stitch, like so. Oops, make it a bit shorter. And your knot is gone. Then you turn it over on the inside and you weave your thread in. Now we are going to, not today, but we are going to line our bag eventually. So your best bid would be to weave it in right down into some of the darker blue, right down the bottom there. Yeah. Or if you don't want to do that, just weave it up and down in here, that's fine too. But yours truly is going to weave it right down. And then once we pop our lining on, that's never coming undone. Just make sure you can't see the needle from the front, yeah? So you pop it through. Ooh, that was really tight. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it was really tight. All right, so down you go, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to there. Checking the front for the needle. Oops, not even in frame. Hello, Mary. All the way down to there. Once you get down to these stitches down here, go right into them and then just go in and out through the back of the stitches, just grabbing different stitches, going back the other way, and guess what? You're done. You can cut that thread right there. Yep. Not only will it not come undone because we've come right down and into the stitches up and down twice, but also we're going to be lining it. So that area there will probably be covered with lining as well. I'm not really sure yet because I haven't really decided how we're going to line it. Don't you love it? She makes these things up as she goes along. But you need to weave in another end somewhere if you haven't already weaved it in. It was the very first end that we started with around here. There, over here, right in here. But that's an easy end. You just weave it in and out. Let's do it quickly now. It's super easy, yeah? All right, so let's do just that. It's a little bit fiddly, this one, but it's easier to weave in because you've got a lot of stitching there. Just check the front of your work. Make sure you can't see the needle, yeah? Pop it through, like so. Going back up again. One more time, checking the front of your work. All good. And one more time in the other direction again. Have you noticed I'm going through different areas? Yeah. Pop it through. The rest is going to be done covered up with the lining anyway. So even if you didn't cut that thread close to there, you wouldn't notice it because it will be covered up with the lining. But there you go, guys. That's our little bag. Now, we did finally get through it. What we're going to do with our bag over the next few weeks, we're going to have a little chat with our subscribers on our live. Now, our lives are actually 10 a.m. Saturday mornings and 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, Melbourne Australia time. We will definitely be lining the bag because we already discussed that we'll be lining it. There is a wrong side and a right side to your bag. How can you tell? Let's get a close up. When you look at this side, it's nice and neat, yeah? When we flip it that way, right there, it's rather bubbly. All right, it doesn't matter too much, yeah? You can decide yourself how you want to wear your bag. All right, so thank you very much for joining us in creating our gorgeous little tote bag that you see right here. If you want to make a larger bag, here's one right here. How pretty is that, huh? If you want to make that one there, I have a tutorial for that one here on the channel. I've left a link to that one in a description box down below. It's actually the third link you come to, because the very first two links will be the granny square to this bag, and it'll give you information on how to complete the square so that you can make this bag. If you want to do the joining of this bag, you have to watch those two lives, all right? So they will help you out with the joining of the bag. I think it's within the first half an hour to an hour of each live, and you will get to the part where you create this gorgeous piece. So thank you very much again for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys always do for me. And don't forget to join us on our live so that you can create our live projects. And you see, when we do our live projects and we come up with a little glitch where people can't seem to see how I made the handle, you get to see it on one of our tutorials. Thank you for joining us all, and ciao for now.